Hey there guys, in this tutorial we're going to learn more about Amazon Neptune database parameter groups and how to create them. So first off, let's head to the page where we create those parameter groups. Right over here, we click on parameter groups. As we can see here, this will show the list of available parameter groups and we have not yet created any. So what are Amazon Neptune database parameter groups? You manage your database configuration in Amazon Neptune by using parameters in a database parameter group. Database parameter groups act as a container for engine configuration values that are applied to one or more database instances. We've got two types of database parameter groups, one which is called database cluster parameter groups and one which is called database parameter groups. For the database parameter groups, they apply at the instance level and are generally associated with settings for the Neptune Graph Engine, while the database cluster parameter groups apply to every instance in the cluster and generally have broader settings. Now, any configuration values that you modify in the database cluster parameter group override default values in the database parameter group. So if you added the corresponding values in the database parameter group, those values override the settings from the database cluster parameter group. Let's start by creating our first parameter group. Let's click on Create Parameter Group. For the general group details, we've got a parameter group family to choose, which is chosen for us, Neptune 1. We choose the type of group we'd like. As we have previously stated, we've got two types, the parameter group or the cluster parameter group. So let's choose the parameter group. For the group name, you set a name to identify your group and you give it a unique name to know what this group is for. Let's go with tutorial group. And for the description, you describe briefly this group and what it's used for. Tutorials. Okay, so a default database parameter group is used if you create a database instance without specifying a custom database parameter group. So let's see some important points you should know about working with parameters in a database parameter groups. When you change a static parameter and save the instance database parameter group, the parameter change takes effect after you manually reboot the database instance. When you change a static parameter and save the database cluster parameter group, the parameter change takes effect after you manually reboot every database instance in the cluster. So keep those in mind when working with database parameter groups and changing them accordingly. Now, after finishing all the required information for our parameter group details, we click on Create and you will have created your very first parameter group, which is in this case the parameter group, or it could be a database cluster parameter group. Click on Create and it will be done.